everyone, Adi Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Porter, here with you today. Thanks so much for stopping by my YouTube channel, and today I'm sharing this Art by Marlene journal page with you. So I'll take you through what I used. So I've got the small white creative journal, which has got all my little animals and quotes in it, so I can't wait to see that all finished and come together. I also use some of the marker pens. I use a quote from the sticky book, the Golden Oldie, the new one, and I do use an old die cut from the Golden Oldie collector book. I also use white gesso and the new gel medium and the new pastes. I thought it's time to take these new pastel stencil pastes, gorgeous colours, for a spin. And then I've got a few old stamps that from the sophisticated range, just because I'm doing an underwater theme, so I kind of wanted some seaweedy stencils, and a couple of older stencils from that range too. You can use whatever you have really, but I do also use a couple of brushes. I'm going to use the new spatula, of course the sticky glue, and I kind of have gone for under the ocean colours, so mermaid, azure, smurf and police. And also funky, ballet, punk, which is neon, and so is the funky, and royal in the paint colours. Okay, so I start, and I grabbed out of that Golden Oldie collector book, I grabbed a cute little whale, because I very recently had a little holiday up in Queensland, and part of that we did a tour to swim with the sea turtles, which was amazing. We saw so many sea turtles, and we saw octopus and sharks and starfish, and the turtles were just huge. But also while on the tour, we first went out on the boat, and 3 whales, a mum, a dad and a baby, were all about 30 metres from our boat, which was amazing. But when we were actually diving under with the sea turtles, when we came up, there was a whale just waving his tail right there. So he had come to find us, and it was just amazing, especially when you see them in their own environment. It's just such a privilege. So I had to document it, and we also heard whale song when we went down under to the turtles, so it was so unexpected and just so wonderful. So what I've done is I used some of the colours, the mermaid and the smurf, to create sort of an underwater scene, and I've kept the darker colours around the edge and lighter in the centre. I just used a dry brush to pop that on. And then I came in with some of the darker paint, so the smurf, and applied it just around those edges, and then pulled it off with a stencil. And that's a sort of a flower stencil, but it really reminds me of seaweed, and Marlene's got quite a few of those kind of stencils, so there's lots that could work for that. And then I also used punk and a little bit of royal around those edges, just to sort of create that underwater feeling and that depth around the edges. And then I grabbed the stencil that I had never used, so it was time to use it, even though it's actually sold out, I think. But this stencil, it's actually the dots that I'm using, and there's so many stencils with dots. I'm sure there's one in the advent calendar from last year, and Marlene's got a couple of dot stencils, but I just wanted to use this because it had never been opened. So as I said, I want to take those new stencil pastes for a spin. So I started with the pinky colour, which is called Peachy Promise, and just using the dot part of that stencil and the spatula, which is awesome to use, fabulous, love it. I just put some dots over the page, and any that sort of half didn't work, I just quickly removed with a wet baby wipe. And then I've gone over with the green colour. I did wait for that to dry. So the green is called Over the Ocean. And then once that was dry, I'm just using the blue here, which is called Blue Madness. So it's a bit hard to see the blue on video, but hopefully you can see it a bit more in the close-up photos. Yeah, so I just let them overlap. I didn't worry about lining them up, or I just wanted those sort of dotty, sort of like the bubbles coming up. and that magic, so capturing the magic of the moment. So then I've popped my whale there just to kind of see what he looks like. And then this is where I've grabbed out some of the older sophisticated stamps. So anything that looked a little bit seaweedy is what I went for. So you could use anything for this, but you might still, like me, be hoarding all your old Art by Marlene supplies. And so I've just popped some of the punk paint, which is the neon purple, onto that stamp, and then stamped it sort of along the bottom edge. And I did the same with a bit of royal as well, which is a really deep purple, just stamping it along the bottom. And don't forget to clean your stencil when you use paint. So when you use ink, I tend to not, if I use an archival ink, I don't tend to clean it, but when you're using paint, always clean it after. And then I just added a touch of the pink as well. I can't remember if that is ballet or the neon, which is funky, so it might even be a mix of the two. And then I just rubbed some of the paint colours around the edge just to give a little bit of a shadowing effect and create that depth. And now I'm just filling in a few little gaps that I'd perhaps missed with some of the aqua paint, or I think the mermaid. So now let's add a little cluster to that bottom right hand corner. So out of the Golden Oldies collector book, and I think you will be excited about the next release. That's all I will say. But I still have lots left. I've used lots, but I still have lots left. So I put a couple of little starfish in that bottom right hand corner, and they're just hanging over the edge. I will trim them off afterwards. And the little whale, I've glued him down as well, and he's super cute. And now I'm hunting for a quote from the Golden Oldie book, and I actually end up combining two together. So I use the white background with the black writing, and it says, "Do the unexpected and make magic happen." So it was so unexpected to see that whale tail, and absolutely magical. So it kind of, really captured what I wanted to remember. So I'm just scribbling around the edge with a black fine pen. And then I do add to that cluster, I think, that's down in the bottom corner. So I found a couple of little sort of leafy die cuts that look a bit like seaweed, and I sort of cut them and play around with where I want them to go for a little while before I decide. And I'm just sticking these down with the sticky glue. And of course I need to peel up a little bit because I like it to, things to have some depth by placing them overlapping a little bit. So I've got those down, and then I'm sort of hunting around for a few other things, and I end up deciding to use some of the washi tape that was from a little while ago. So all of these will be listed in my comments. So those cute little sort of scallopy washi tape with the pinks and the aquas, and I thought they worked perfectly. So I added a couple of those in, and then I found a little fishy, and I think once I'd finished filming I did actually add one more, but I do I just like that little cluster on the right hand side, and the fish is facing the whale, so it kind of looks like the whale's come up and surprised the little fishy, and the fishy's excited about seeing the whale. So then I can't finish a page without grabbing the markers, and I used the markers. I did a couple of marks on top of the washi tape, added a few little dots and things like that. But I also use the markers to add a bit of extra colour to the die cuts. So the whale, I just wanted to give him a bit more oomph of colour, and so I add the pens and just sort of smudge it to do that. And then I also added a few extra little dots. So I used the white pen to add a few dots because I have white in the quote. I needed to add a few white bits into the overall picture, so I added some white dots to the whale and a few white dots to the water as well. So this will leave you with some close-ups so you can kind of see what is happening. But super fun page. It's a special memory for me. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back soon.